Tesco does not just sell groceries. It knows what you ate for breakfast 3 Tuesdays ago, when your household is likely to run out of nappies, and exactly how much you would pay before switching to a competitor. That is not retail. That is something closer to infrastructure.
Walk into any Tesco Express at 7 in the morning and everything feels ordinary. Branded bags of coffee, own-label bread, a meal deal that feels like it has always cost that much. Nothing about it signals dominance. And yet, Tesco controls roughly 27% of all grocery spending in the United Kingdom. No other supermarket is close. Sainsbury's sits around 15%, Asda a little lower. Aldi, despite years of aggressive growth, has not yet crossed 11%. The gap between first and second place in British retail is not a lead, it is a different category entirely. But the question worth asking is not how big Tesco is. The question is how it got there, and more importantly, why nothing has managed to shift it. The story does not start with scale, it starts with a card. In 1995, Tesco launched the Clubcard. On the surface, it was a loyalty scheme. You spent money, you collected points, you redeemed them for discounts. Simple enough. What the public did not fully understand, and what most of Tesco's competitors failed to grasp until it was far too late, was that the Clubcard was not a loyalty program at all. It was a data collection engine dressed up as a reward. The analyst firm hired to interpret the early Clubcard data reportedly told Tesco's board that the results were so detailed and so unexpected that they knew more about their customers than those customers knew about themselves. Tesco acted on that systematically. Within a few years, they were running over 5 million different versions of their quarterly mailer, each one personalized to the buying patterns of a specific household. Not 5 versions, 5 million. That is not marketing, that is surveillance architecture built on a loyalty card. And that is only part of what was happening. While the data operation was building quietly in the background, Tesco was executing a physical expansion strategy that looked almost reckless from the outside. Superstores, metro formats, express convenience stores, 24-hour trading. They were not competing in one lane of retail, they were attempting to occupy all of them simultaneously. By the mid-2000s, there was serious public and political concern about a Tesco on every high street. Planning applications were being challenged. Community groups were campaigning. The phrase Tescopoly entered the national conversation. The pressure was real, but it masked something important. Tesco was not expanding out of arrogance. It was expanding because it understood that physical proximity to the customer was its own form of data. The more stores it had, the more it learned. The more it learned, the better it priced. The better it priced, the harder it became to leave. The system fed itself. Then came the moment that should have ended all of it.
In 2014, Tesco announced that it had overstated its profits by approximately £250 million. The number was eventually revised upward. Investigations followed. Executives were suspended. The Serious Fraud Office opened a criminal inquiry. Tesco's share price collapsed by more than 50% over the course of that year. Suppliers who had quietly resented the company's commercial pressure for years began speaking publicly. The story that emerged was of a business that had grown so large and so focused on its own financial targets that parts of it had detached from basic honesty. It was the single most dangerous moment in the company's modern history. Some analysts wrote pieces about whether Tesco could survive, not restructure, survive. What happened inside the boardroom during that period has been described in fragments by investors, by former executives, by people who were in adjacent rooms. The full account of the decisions made between September and December of 2014 has never been made public in any complete form. What is known is that the man brought in to fix it, Dave Lewis, arrived from Unilever with no supermarket experience and a mandate so broad it was almost formless. He cut thousands of jobs. He closed underperforming stores. He simplified the product range with a discipline that felt almost surgical. And he did something that surprised almost everyone watching. He went back to the customers, not through advertising, through price. Tesco had spent years allowing a margin gap to open up between itself and the discounters. Aldi and Lidl had entered the UK market quietly and then grown loudly, winning over customers who had previously considered them a second choice. By the time Tesco's scandal broke, the discounters were no longer fringe, they were a structural threat. Lewis responded by rebuilding Tesco's own label range almost from scratch. The result was a product line that could stand directly against premium competitors on quality and directly against discounters on price. It was not a compromise, it was a deliberate refusal to be outflanked. The deeper insight here is not about products, it is about psychology.
Tesco understood, earlier than most, that British grocery shopping is not a rational act. It is a habitual one. People do not choose a supermarket every week. They choose it once and then continue. The emotional cost of switching, learning a new layout, recalculating value, rebuilding a routine, is higher than most consumers consciously acknowledge. Tesco's entire operation, from the Clubcard to the store network to the own label tiers, was designed to raise that switching cost invisibly, not through lock-in, through familiarity. Every personalized voucher kept a customer shopping slightly differently than they otherwise would. Every express store on the commute home reduced the reason to go anywhere else. Every own label product at exactly the right price made the mental maths work out just well enough to stay. The result is not loyalty in any emotional sense. It is inertia engineered at scale. Which brings us to where things stand now. Aldi and Lidl are still growing. Online grocery, accelerated sharply by the pandemic, has changed the competitive landscape in ways that are still settling. Younger consumers are less habitual, more price-sensitive, and less attached to the idea of a weekly shop at a single destination. Tesco's store estate, once its greatest strength, now carries real estate costs in a world where the customer is increasingly willing to shop fragmented. The Clubcard still works. The own label range is widely considered the strongest it has ever been, and Tesco's market share, despite everything, has remained remarkably stable across a decade of sustained competitive pressure. Whether that stability is the sign of a genuinely resilient business or simply the last expression of a structural advantage that is slowly eroding probably depends on which quarter you are looking at. The data, for once, does not point cleanly in either direction.